And hello fellow tankers, Space Bandit here with another episode of World of Tanks, and today I bring to you the Defender. Yes, brand new Russian premium tank that just came into the store, tier 8 heavy tank. The steel monster, the machine that is apparently considered on PC as pretty OP. Well, in this review we're gonna look at this tank and we'll see if it's really that OP as perceived. So let's start with some specs on this tank. Let's start with mobility. The tank has 700 horsepower engine. Its top speed limit is 35 kilometers an hour. It's a bit slower, I would say, than IS-3. I have IS-3, I've played an IS-3 for a while, and I can say that uphill, downhill, the tank is pretty good. It gets up and gets down pretty good, but top speed is definitely slower than IS-3. As far as armor is concerned, and this is where this tank shines, is with this armor. Hull armor is frontally 130 millimeters, sides are 100 millimeter, rear is 90. Turret armor 250 millimeter front, which is really tough to penetrate. Sides are 150 millimeters and rear is 100 millimeters. Now let's look at the gun. So yeah, the tank has 122 millimeter gun with alpha damage of 440 on standard shells, which are AP shells. Premium shells are the APCR shells, which average the alpha damage also 440. I gotta say, this gun packs a pretty good punch. If you hit someone, it's gonna hurt. Armor penetration 225 on standard AP shells, 265 on the premium shells. Rate of fire, now this is not gonna be the greatest. Rate of fire is only 3.87 rounds per minute. I don't remember, I think my reload time is at about 12 or 13 seconds, something of that nature. Actually without vents, I'm using vertical stabilizer on this tank instead of vents, just to maximize the gun handling because the aim time is so horrible. View range 350 meters. This tank is honestly blind, really blind. It can't see anything, so you have to count on your team to spot. Basically, the purpose of this tank is city brawling. That's where it's best at, getting up close and personal with the opposition and duking it out. Basically, that's what I tried to do with this tank for the most part in the city maps. Go up close on the open maps as much as you can find a position where it's kind of a choke point position where you can push through with this tank. That's what it's basically made for, but it does struggle a little bit in open maps because of its sniping potential is not that good. What I found playing this tank is when it's a top tier, it's a demolition expert. Like, this tank basically is a devastator. Like, it destroys everything in its path. But it struggles a little bit when it's a bottom tier. Even with this shell penetration, which is pretty decent. But the gun accuracy and handling when you actually get to tier 10, where you do have to hit the weak spots, and you can't, it becomes really annoying with this gun. So keep that in mind. Let's touch a bit on the weak spots of this tank. Even though this tank is considered OP on PC, I don't find it so OP on console. It is easily penetratable in a lower plate, and because of that spiked nose, the lower plate is more exposed than lower plates of other tanks. So you have to be really careful when you position the tank. You have to make sure that there is something in front to cover the bottom plate to minimize the penetration. There's a couple of more weak spots on the turret, believe it or not. The cupolas are really hard to hit, but they are a weak spot. If you have high penetration gun, it is possible to penetrate turret ring. But I had different kinds of luck with that. Sometimes it's hit and miss, but still something to consider. I guess that could be very useful when face hugging this tank. Instead of commander's hatch being your only option, you can try to penetrate it in the turret ring. If you're that close, I think it should be easier. However, if your tank has a good gun depression while face hugging, probably better option is to shoot down into the front plate, because at that point the angle is gonna become negligible and you can penetrate it through the front plate. So here you can see my equipment. I'm using large caliber gun rammer, enhanced gun laying drive, and vertical stabilizer to help with the gun handling. As far as supplies are concerned, I'm gonna split AP and APCR rounds 15 apiece, just in case you get pulled into tier 10 game. It gives you that extra firepower. I'm not gonna load any high explosive rounds simply because alpha damage on this gun is incredible, plus the ammo count is very low, so something to consider again. As far as other consumables go, for now I'll just go standard with small repair kit, small first aid kit, and automatic fire extinguisher. So let's move on into gameplay. I have 3 replays for you guys. I think they're pretty good replays. All games are pretty close, so very exciting. And I think I played a total of about 20 games in this tank, and these 3 were the ones that stood out that I thought I would show to you guys, because I think they're fantastic and they show what this tank is all about, what it can do in the city maps, what it can do in the open maps. So yeah, let's get to replays and go from there. So on to the first game, Arctic region snow. Believe it or not, this was the first game I played in this tank. I love this map. This is one of the older maps that's been in rotation for a while, and I really enjoy playing this map. I know it really well, so I know where to go. We have a very good matchmaking and no artillery, which is excellent. So what we're gonna do is, initially I usually go into the C2 area. That's usually the brawling spot, but because this is a top tier match for me, usually H7 area, somewhere over there, a lot of tanks come to that area so that I can actually test this tank with respect to its armor and firepower. So I want to just get right into opposition's face and start brawling, because this is what this tank should be doing. And like I mentioned to you guys, this what I try to do with the Russian heavies is go to the area where you can brawl, or where you have to, or you're forced to push through. So this is one of those areas. The outside, both sides of this map are kind of like that. I have a good team behind me, good team of campers. They can provide some firepower, and so here I'm trying to engage some of these light tanks. I knew they would be poking over the ridge here, trying to get some shots on me, but it looks like they have trouble penetrating me. So I tried to trade a few shots. Not a good trade for these guys. It's not a good idea to trade against heavy armored vehicle like this tank, unless you find side armor and you can actually fire at it from the side. Side armor of this tank is not very strong. It can be penetrated even by tanks 2 tiers lower. So here I'm trying to stay close to the rock, or to the hill on the left side, so I can expose only my turret around the corner. In the process, I also provide spots, and I get spotting damage because of the pool of campers in the back. Can provide me with some firepower. So there you go. So the main thing here is trying to clear this corner and get rid of the tiger. Here you're gonna notice me switching between AP and APCR rounds. It's more of a matter of preference. APCR does give me better penetration, but I do like APCR rounds for the velocity. So I can poke out quicker, take the shot and move, and the shells don't have as much derpiness to them, so you know the shot's gonna go straight. And that's the reason I'm using APCR in some cases. Also, over high distance or long distance shooting, I think APCR rounds are much better than AP rounds because of the velocity, so that you don't have to lead your shots as much. So from that perspective, I occasionally use APCR rounds. Also, when it's a clutch time, like the end of the game, and it depends on me whether well, if I want to carry, I usually use APCR rounds because I want to make sure every time I shoot I penetrate. So here this Tiger P fooled me a little bit. I thought he was already gone and he was dead, but he's still here. So he could have potentially hit me in the side, but he missed. So that was a mistake on my part. I should have probably looked around and see if there's anybody left over. So I'm just gonna chug over here and try to finish him so that this area is clear now. However, what you can see on the map now is that the other flank has completely fallen. We had a lot of tanks at the base camping, and only myself really pushing through this area here. So I thought at that point we had pretty good control even back there because of the numbers, and there was no sense for me to push. So the other tank is telling me, the other heavy tank is telling me to go and follow him, but honestly at this point there's no sense to go and push their base because there are so many of reds over here in this area. So the idea here is to maybe come back and take a few shots, see if I can hit some, maybe clean a few of these tanks out of the way here. And so here it does show you some sniping capability of this tank. I'm actually shooting, what, 500 meters over here. The shell goes pretty straight, fully aimed. So some of these shots are, I mean, the gun is fairly accurate, I would say, for long distance. What I found, it's much harder to play it if you don't want to fully aim and you just want to poke out from behind the building and take a shot. Excuse me. So that's the difficult part, because then the gun becomes more of a potato, I noticed. So here we're losing on numbers. I think we're in pretty bad shape right now. Our tanks at the base have basically falling, really falling. I took a shot at T-29 over here, a nice roll. So yeah, I'm just taking damage here whenever I can, and wherever there's something available. As long as there are shots here, I'm gonna stay in this area because I want to be close to the base in case I need to decap. And there are still targets, so there is no reason for me to move. While if you pay attention to the map on the other side or closer to the enemy base, our heavy tank is engaging another heavy tank, which is keeping that tank from coming into this area. So my thinking process was, once the shots are done here and I don't have anybody else to shoot at, I'm just gonna turn around and go and help out that heavy tank over there. But by the time I turned around, the heavy tank has died. So I wanted to know what our tank was facing, and that seems to be the Tier 8 German heavy, 100.01, very tough opponent, hard to penetrate. So I'm switching to APCR rounds for that reason, because I'm expecting him to be frontally towards me. But when I actually climbed up this little ridge here, it turned out that he actually turned around, he was going the other way. So I didn't really need APCR to take him out here. So at this point, there's only 3 of us versus 6 of them. There's only one heavy tank remaining in G5 area there, or G6. I am expecting him to die. He's probably gonna die fairly quickly. So there's no point going back and defending the area and exposing myself in the process. So I saw a T-32 coming to cap. So I thought to myself, the best option at this point is for both of us to cap and maybe draw the opposition here, so we can catch them one by one and take them apart one by one. They had a capper for a while there. I think Leo was capping, but he left the cap, so it gives us opportunity to win this game right now. I mean, we have really good chance to win this game. There's still a Scorpion here, trying to aim a shot at him, but the aim time doesn't allow me. I could have snapshot it, but I noticed that this gun is such a potato at snap shooting that I probably wouldn't have hit him anyway. So here I say good game because, you know, like I did a lot of spotting damage. I have 9 penetrating shots, so that's pretty good already as it is. And I thought to myself, if we can pull this out by capping, or if we can pull this out by pull this off by getting rid of some of the opposition when they come one by one. So that's what we're gonna try to do. So we took out the light tank there. Type 59 somehow penetrates me. I don't know, probably lower plate, I would assume. So we're gonna try to take him out. Unfortunately, they decap, so so the time basically reset the cap, so the time starts again at whatever it was, 20 seconds. But we took out 2 of them already, so I was hoping the same would happen, that they would keep coming. But unfortunately, one of the tanks on the other team started capping as well, so now it's really crucial that we block the shots, that they don't penetrate us, they don't decap over here. So at this point I wasn't... what I should have probably done is I should have protected T-32. I stepped in front of him because he was here longer. Like the Type 59 decapped me first, so he was basically on cap longer. So here it was too late already. I tried to kind of drive in front of him to protect him from getting shot, but that was already too late. So the point right now, I'm just trying to take out T-29, but it looks like this game is not going to be won because there's no way we can make it back to the cap, to our cap, and yeah, we can't cap in time. So we lost this game. Regardless, I think for first game in this tank, the result is pretty darn good. I managed to do almost 5,000 damage. This gun can pack a real punch. 5,000 damage, 2,000 assisted damage, which brings it to about 7k combined damage. Unbelievable how much fire potential this tank has. Like, really, I mean, this tank could have up to 7k, 8k fire potential. Like, it's possible to do that kind of result with this tank based off what I've done in 20 games. Again, it has to be against lower tier opposition, obviously, because at higher tier is going to be much harder to penetrate. Okay, let's move on to the second game then. Second game we have on map Berlin, which is one of the newer maps in this game. Again, matchmaking is pretty good to us. We are the top tier. We're gonna go against IS-6s, Tiger 2, Defender, possibly KV-4. One thing to mention, I do have IS-6 as well in my garage. I bought IS-6 a long time ago. I used to play this tank a bit. I enjoyed it. But with the release of all of the new premium tanks, especially Defender, I believe that IS-6 is going to become obsolete, just because of the fact that the gun penetration on that gun is pretty ridiculously low. So unfortunately, if you have bought IS-6 before and you still have it in your garage, and I do too, basically right now, when you think about it, it's a waste of money. Because like there's no point playing that tank. Like if you come up against Defenders and you come up against Fatherlands and IS-3s and all of these tanks, like you're gonna have to basically shoot premium shells, which means that you know, you won't be making money. I mean, that tank is a premium tank, supposed to make money for you. If you can't make money with it, what good is this for? I guess it's just for fun if you want to play it, but it's really pointless. Now, did you see that shot? Actually, I took a couple of shots on that IS-3, and I didn't see color marker changing to red, and I was wondering why. There's something wrong with that corner on the map. I don't think I was looking past that, you know, pile of rebel, whatever it was, but I don't think, I think it's basically something blocking your shot from going through. Like I couldn't get my shot through there. So this game is gonna show a good example of this tank in a city and what it can do, and brawling and angling, trying to shoot weak spots. So that's why I'm showing this to you guys, because that's perfect scenario where you're gonna play this tank, and how to position yourself. Now here I'm exposing my lower plate a little bit, so I think so the defender penned me here. I'm not sure. I was thinking at that point, was it the side of my spiked nose, or was it the bottom plate? And I didn't actually check, but I think it was, I was exposing my bottom plate a little bit too much, and he found a way to penetrate it. Because even if you kind of hug the wall and an angle slightly, that spiked nose bottom, it's still gonna get exposed. The bottom plate of the spiked nose, it's still gonna get exposed to a certain degree. Like here you can see, like he's side scraping, but that bottom is still exposed, and I can take the shots there. So yeah, so here, this is what I'm trying to do, and luckily I have my teammates behind me, so they're actually concentrating their fire on my teammates instead of my. There, you can accuracy right there from close range. If not fully aimed, that's what it does. Instead of going lower plate, it went upper plate. So anyway, so they're concentrating their fire on my teammates at the moment, which plays to my advantage. So yeah, we took a little bit of help from them. So here now is a good time to move up a little bit and then try to finish them off. And defender makes a mistake here by poking out, and I basically take him out. Now this is what I was saying about IS-6. Like, I have absolutely no fear driving and in front of him and facing him. Like, absolutely no fear. The only mistake I made here, I poked out a little bit too far, because there was T-34 on the right side, so he actually took a shot at me while I was poking out. So I want to make sure I don't make this same mistake again. I'm going to use the dead body of a defender, try to screen myself so that I expose only my turret. And I'm going to try to side scrape to see if I can get a shot of the lower plate of T-34, and he gives it to me, so I take it. And he's only, at this point, he's only one shot. So once I'll repair my truck, I'm gonna try to finish him off. But oh, randomly Tiger shows up. I didn't know he was there, so fortunately he didn't penetrate me. So I take out the T-34. So yeah, we're gonna begin the chase. We're gonna try to chase them around. I know they're gonna have their backs to us, so we're gonna try to come around here and take some shots. Although the Tiger player is pretty smart. He actually turned around. He was anticipating me coming. So I'm gonna just hug this wall. I'm gonna side scrape from this wall. And that's the way to play it, guys. Every time, take precaution. You wanna maintain your health points. You play your tanks right. I know it takes longer. I know you get impatient sometimes in doing that. I do the same thing, but it pays off at the end. So here I'm gonna try to. Actually, I was trying to ram his track to track him in place, and but that didn't work out. And I'm not sure how he penned me from that angle. That was extremely frustrating that I took that penetration shot, because the game is pretty even, and we can still win this game here. I could have used that extra hit points. So I'm at 344, so I'm pretty sure, pretty much for high penetrate, for high alpha guns, that could be probably just a one shot at this point, so I have to be really careful. So we lost the other flank, so at this point I was thinking to come back and protect this flank to see if I can catch the sides of the tanks coming through here. And there's one of the enemy tanks, 95E2, is capping right now, but he's engaging our heavy. So here I wanted to go and decap, kind of stopped for a moment, but whoops, both of enemy tanks were here. The Super Pershing is here as well as the Proto, so I can't cross at this point. I basically I'm too low health in order to cross. I have to take care of them before I move forward. So I was hoping that our other heavy tank actually engages E2 and you know, and maybe if it doesn't take care of, maybe decaps a little bit, but it seems like he died pretty quickly. So here I'm gonna make a couple mistakes, and I'm gonna talk about this with you guys. So I managed to take out the Proto, which was pretty good. But now, look at the way Super Pershing is sitting. I'm basically aiming for his cheek below the spaced armor there. But the way he's angled, I could have been shooting at his side for a better chance of penetration. I didn't recognize it early. Now I recognize it, but now I didn't fully aim my shot. That's another mistake, and I basically hit the dirt instead of hitting the tank. So that E4 should be almost dead, and I should be going over and decapping at this point, but I can't. And I can't leave him like this. I can't cross because he's gonna chase me. So I can't really do anything until I take him out. And look at this, guys. This is gonna be classic. If I made this shot, there's a chance to win this game, but I didn't. I didn't fully aim. I rushed it a little bit. And a potato gun speaks, unfortunately. So I managed to take the Super Pershing out, but it's too late because we got capped out again. So it's my second game that I had pretty decent result, and I got capped out. Was really frustrating. But hey, those games come, and you just have to deal with it and learn from your mistakes and try to be a better player. Again, huge damage because of this alpha. I mean, that's what you would expect from this tank, especially at top tier. 5.3, almost 5.4k damage, high caliber mastery badge. Now, take that with a grain of salt because mastery is pretty easy on this tank right now. It's fairly new. A lot of players still don't have it because of the high price. So yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, finished first on the team. And 4 kills, 7 medals. Pretty decent game. Let's move on to the next game. And the last game I'm gonna present to you guys is on Napkin. It's a standard battle. I think that the matchmaking is up to tier 9, so it's not tier 10 matchmaking. Yes, tier 9 matchmaking, about what, 5 tier 9s per side. So still fairly reasonable. On this map, I've noticed that a lot of fighting is happening between in the, what is it, northeast quadrant, between E5 and A1, somewhere in that area. And then a lot of it also happens on this side of the map. I usually fight on the other side of the map, but for whatever reason, in this game I decided to go to this area here. I don't know. It just felt like it to go here. I just wanted to kind of had a feeling that the NFP team is going to be coming here for whatever reason. So you can use the ridge in the middle here to poke out and spot some enemies. Oh, look at those rocks growing out of the ground. That was cool. So this game is going to show again a little bit of sniping ability of this tank, which is honestly, it's not that horrible. I mean, the aim time is pretty bad, but the gun fires pretty straight. So trying to take a shot at the T10 over here, he was spotted, and always checking the other side, guys. That's the way to do it, right? You look in one side and you get shot from the other, so you got to be aware of your surroundings all the time. So I think the other side's clear now. The light tank has cleared. I see a shot on T34. I take a shot, pretty good roll, 494. Oh, another thing I noticed, guys. I don't know if that's only just an observation or if it's a fact. I've noticed that AP rounds actually roll close to 440, even many times quite higher than 440. I even had like 500 rolls in the AP, using AP rounds. But when I load APCR, I low roll, which is quite interesting. I can't understand why. Maybe it was just I I don't know, maybe the games I played, that's what it seemed. I'm not sure why Wargaming would do something like that. Why RNG would be different on AP versus APCR. Not sure. So we have quite a few tanks over here. Trying to take the shots when they're available here. I basically almost annihilated the T-54. Took a lot of his health with that shot, and that's what this tank can do. You just basically, especially at high tier, you just and T-54 has a lot of health points. Don't get me wrong, but if you run into like a tier 6, like you basically you can take most of his their health points right away. It's funny. So I tried to take a shot at T10 over there, but he was hull down, so I didn't risk that. I thought a better idea would be come around here and massacre the IS-6. Again, I don't know why players are taking IS-6s out right now. I wouldn't do that at all. Don't do it, guys, because you're just gonna get massacred. There's just too many premium tanks in the game at this point. I can't see a shot at T10, but somebody takes him out, so he's out of the game. So it looks like only 2 mediums in this area right now, so I'm just gonna try to YOLO that Type 54. Sorry, T-54, not Type 54. And I was hoping that one of those heavy tanks would come with me, but nobody seemed to care. So here I quickly checked the right side. I wasn't sure maybe if there was more tanks there. I didn't remember any, so I didn't think there was, but beautiful side of T-54. And notice how I didn't auto aim there. That's the right way to do it, guys. You basically lock the target and you basically aim manually to make sure you penetrate. Because what happens if you auto aim? Yeah, that's exactly what happens, and that's one of the mistakes I made in this game, and I shouldn't have lost these hit points, and I did. And it's gonna bite me at the end. Mark my words. So, okay, so it seems like we won this area, this side of the map. And many players make mistake at this point by pushing through. And usually there is a big open area here. When you push through over that ridge, there are tank destroyers on the other side, there are heavy tanks on the other side, so you expose yourself to a lot of firepower. Before you make a decision like that, just make sure you scan the map, see what the situation is, see what you should be doing next. Like at this point, so you can see those 2 heavy tanks. One is what is it, ST1, was it? No, it's T10 and T32. They decided to keep pushing. While if you look at the other side of the map, the Reds are basically pushing hard in B2, B3 area. So right now, the best option for them and for all of us would be come back here and defend and clear out that corner. Just because we're splitting like this, it doesn't benefit the team. Yeah, and it's awfully hard to win a game like this. So here I'm poking over the ridge, trying to take the shot on that defender. It would be nice if I can pen him here. Great shot, 477. This time I high rolled on APCR actually. So yeah, the gun accuracy is not so bad. Here just a wishful shot. I was hoping I can hit him, but no, I knew I wasn't hitting him. It was just, well, if you don't, the shots you don't take, you don't pen, right? So so I'm gonna try to poke this ridge again. He's exposing his side right here. Boom. Put another shot into him. Something is shooting at me from far away that I can't see. It turned out to be Panther. Or Panther 2, I'm not sure, I don't remember. But he's not penetrating me, so I just completely ignored him. And here I made the biggest mistake of the game. I actually thought that the gun depression would be enough for me to poke over here and take the defender out. And I saw that the other tank wasn't penetrating me. So basically I was too brave. I was trying to kind of poke over and take him out right away, but my gun depression didn't allow me, and he put big shot into my lower plate. And that's second mistake that I've made. That's gonna cost me later on, unfortunately. So at this point our team is falling bad again. And it seems to be the story in this tank. Every time I played, I mean, my win rate, I think it's like 45%, really ridiculous. Couldn't buy a win for the longest time. I don't understand why. The matchmaking is just pretty bad. So here I decided to change position. I knew that the enemy team would be coming from the other side closer to our flag. So I decided to reposition here and hopefully lose the spot and catch them one by one. That was the idea. Nice shot into object 430. Unfortunately, he had a fire extinguisher, because if he didn't, he would be already dead. Yeah, unfortunately, I have 2 tanks on my back right now, so I got basically jumped all over. My priority right now is to take out the object, see if I can take him out, and then maybe defend, but at this point I knew I was pretty much dead. But there's still sliver of hope. So I have, what is it, 2 Panthers at me, and they can't penetrate me. So I'm like, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's still possible. So I took one of them out, and I was very close to turning my turret around, and unfortunately he catches the side of it and he takes me out. One mistake I made here probably was I didn't have to actually push one of those Panthers. I could have just stayed back and maybe found the location behind the dead body of the tank of the 430, and then maybe I would have been able to survive. But you know, you think about stuff like that after, not during the game, and that's what basically separates players like me, who are blue, from players like Unicum, which are purple. So these are the things you have to learn over time and adopt and think quickly when the time comes. So at this point, T-32 was still full health. I was thinking he still has a chance, but so he takes out the defender. But the way he exposed himself here, like when you play T-32, guys, just expose your turret, and he had a chance to do that. If he was sitting right in this position right here, he would be only exposing his turret, and he would have been able to take that shot and don't take any damage, but he did. And another mistake he makes here, he tries to run from IS-3 instead of face-hugging him. I think face-hugging would be a better option at this point, and Panther was still a little bit far away, so he could have taken at least a couple of shots at the IS-3 before Panther showed up. And so here, yeah, IS-3 can't really do much. There's no gun depression. Capola shot would be the only one, but I actually think the Panther took him out here, wasn't the IS-3. So another pretty good game that ends in defeat, unfortunately. I don't have anything happier for you guys, I'm sorry, but you know what, these are still fantastic games. I survived 2 of them. I died in the last one again, 5k damage, high caliber metal, 3190 blocked. That's what this tank can do at top tier. So I am totally enjoying this tank. I think it's fantastic, but it brings death to tanks like IS-6, which Wargaming should really fix, because people spend money on that tank and now they can't even play it in the game. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. Happy tanking. Until next time, SpaceBANDIT checking out.